Hello everyone! In this week's video response, I will be looking at the Pruitt-Igoe Public Housing Project from St. Louis, Missouri. This is a bit of an old example, but a very important one to consider when thinking about contentious developments and the public good. The Pruitt-Igoe Public Housing Project was federally funded by the Housing Act of 1949 and was part of the new trend of urban renewal. The development emerged in 1954 and was infamously demolished in the wake of its failure less than 2 decades later in 1972. The project itself came about during the post-war era that demanded housing amidst an already racially divided nation. There were many speculations as to why this housing complex ultimately failed, but in its failure, a truth about the state of American cities and society at the time were revealed. Socially, cities were becoming separated, and the policy of urban renewal that supported the cleaning up of so-called slums in the inner city served as a catalyst to perpetuate this separation. At the outset, there were pros to this development. The intentions to provide affordable public housing for the middle class and the design itself were viewed in a positive light, but ultimately they were not enough to outweigh the core foundations of negligence and displacement that urban renewal was built upon. The complex suffered from a reduced budget, forcing the quality of construction to diminish and fail quickly. This, in combination with the ongoing trend of white flight that caused the population of St. Louis to drastically decline, resulted in the complex's ultimate demolition. Pruitt-Igoe was constructed in an era whose policies did not support the idea of rebuilding the city itself, but rather further separated suburbs from the city and people from one another. Looking past the demolition of Pruitt-Igoe, the future for public housing in American cities was not bright. Another contentious fact associated with this is the fact that these projects also housed primarily Black residents, which during the midst of the civil rights movement further perpetuated the segregation that the movement was trying so desperately to reverse. The Pruitt-Igoe Public Housing Project ultimately came at a time where social patterns and policies simply would not allow for a successful complex, but rather prolong the very issues it was built to combat.